Hello and good evening, and welcome to the shed on this miserable Monday evening here in the west of Ireland. We have nothing but wind and rain for the last, I don't know, 2.5 weeks, but it's really at it this evening, so I can hear it through my headphones. So it must be coming on the microphone, so I do apologise if you hear it. But anyway, here we are. We're having a reaction to Game Week 2 so far in the NFL and how the weekend has gone so far for the teams. Our Buffalo Bills, we had a good win in Metlife Stadium yesterday in New Jersey, New York. And um, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But also about the other games. There were some crackers on over the weekend. Now, I know there's still 2 games left, and I'll talk about them tomorrow night in my video with Therese. Um, but tonight, I said rather than do 2 videos in one night, I'm going to give a reaction so far to the game week and how the games have played out and what my surprises are, if any, and who did well and who didn't. So there's been 14 games so far played this week. Last weekend, I had a 12 right and 4 wrong prediction. So far this week, I'm 13-1. And I'm pretty hopeful that the next 2 games tonight could go well in my predictions as well. But I'm very happy to get 13 right. It's a great start to the season. I don't bet, but if I did, I probably wouldn't be getting half as many right. But anyway, we'll kick it off. So we'll start off with Thursday night's game. It was the Washington Commanders at the Green Bay Packers. So I picked the Packers to win, and the Packers won 27-18. And I'll be honest, I only seen glimpses and highlights of this because I was working Friday, so I didn't watch it. I haven't seen much highlights. But by all means, the Packers seem to have done okay and have it easy enough. They still seem, according to some, to be the best team in football at the minute. Now, Jaden Daniels, I'm just looking at his stats here. He had passing yards at 200 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only had 57.1% completion, but he also had 7 rushing attempts at 17 yards. Now, he didn't score any touchdown. And their top receiver that night was Zach Ertz, the tight end. Whereas you go to the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love had 292 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and no interception as well. But his completion rate was 61.3%. Josh Jacobs, he had 23 attempts for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. And Tucker Kraft had a field day at tight end. He had 124 receiving yards for 6 receptions, averaging 20 yards per reception and 1 touchdown. So as you can see, the Commanders, they did fall short. Green Bay seems to be informed. Their defense seems to be informed. Micah Parsons, again, had big say in the game. And it was it wasn't one-sided, but the Green Bay Packers never looked in bother from the highlights I've seen anyway. So then we move forward to Sunday. So the first game Sunday on my list here is the Ravens against the Browns. Now, I watched most of Sunday evening's games on Red Zone. I didn't get to see the full Bills games because it was on Red Zone. And to be honest, because they ran away with it so easy, they didn't show too much. But this game was on a fair bit. It was the return of Joe Flacco to Baltimore, where he had won a Super Bowl, first time playing there. And it was his understudy, Lamar Jackson. And in fairness, Lamar Jackson recovered very well from, well, he didn't have a lot of recovery to do, to be honest. He played very well against the Buffalo Bills last week. It just didn't work for them. But he had an awesome game yesterday. Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, they kept kind of quiet for a while, but he did get his own way in the end. I picked the Ravens to win. I didn't think they'd win by this much, but they won 41-17. And the Browns defense kept them in it for a while. But to be honest, that's the Browns defense kept them in it for a while because the Browns offense offered nothing. Joe Flacco, let's see how many interceptions he threw. He threw 1 interception. He had 199 yards and 1 touchdown. Whereas you look at, and I'll bring this up, Lamar Jackson, his stats were 225 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. There's a huge difference between that. Lamar Jackson is in his peak and in his prime, and Joe Flacco isn't. And the Browns now, they did put up a big fight against Cincinnati in week 1. Yesterday, they rolled over. I know they're two divisional and they're not tipped to be the top of that divisional game, but it's going to be a long season for Brown fans, I think. And the next game up then was the Jaguars at the Bengals. Now, I'll be putting up a post later on tonight. I'm very sad about this game, to be honest. Everyone knows I'm a Bills fan. I love the Bills, but I respect other players and other teams. I respect Lamar Jackson. I think he's a genius, but I also respect Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow got injured yesterday, and by the looks of it, he's out for 3 months. And it's a turf toe injury. I've watched a few videos from people explaining it today, and apparently it's a very severe injury when it's very bad, and he has a very bad version of it, and he's going to need surgery, and it's roughly about 3 months he's going to be out. Now, firstly, the Bengals won in a cracker, 31-27. Jake Browning came in from. At one stage, I thought that Jake Browning was going to cost the Bengals the game, but to be fair, he didn't, and they stuck at it, and he deservedly scored the touchdown that got them the win. I did tip the Bengals to win as well, but that wasn't thinking that Joe Burrow would get injured. Firstly, Joe, I wish you the very best, and I hope you're back on the field very soon, because you're one of my favorite non-Bills players, and you're different to other quarterbacks, but you can play, and that's what the NFL needs. So I hope, Joe, you're back on the field very soon. How the game went, as in plays, well, Trevor Lawrence, he had 271 passing yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions, and I just don't trust this guy. I'm not a fan of his. I do have his jersey, but it's because I have a Jaguars jersey, and his is the one that was there. But I'm not a fan of his. Travis Etienne, running back, he had 14 attempts, 71 yards, no touchdown, but 5 yards per average. And Parker Washington, wide receiver, he had 5 receptions, 76 yards, 15.2 average. But again, no touchdowns. Now, the piece I took out of this was when the Jaguars were going on the 4th down near the end of the game. Liam Cohen kind of made a sign at something to Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence just flashed his hand away. I don't know if that relationship is going well. On the Bengals side, after Joe Burrow going off, Jake Browning, well, he had 241 passing yards. He did throw for 2 touchdowns, but he also did throw 3 interceptions. He has a 65.6% completion rate. Chase Brown, running back, had 16 attempts, 47 yards. And Jamar Chase had 14 receptions, 165 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, the one thing I would say about Jake Browning, he has played for the injured Joe Burrow before. And as of now, it's 4-3. Now, I see a lot of people are saying that that's the end of the Bengals season in the playoffs. 3 months is a long time to be out, and nobody is going to know whether Joe Burrow is going to come back or not. Back, I mean, as in back to being Joe Burrow. But Jake Browning has done it before. And if the Bengals can come out of the next 8 games, which they reckon Joe Burrow will be missing, with a 4-3 or 5-3, they'll still be in the mix to get to the playoffs. But it is very tough. And when you look at their schedule, Joe Burrow missing could be the end of their season. And I'm kind of gutted, because I would love to see the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow in the playoffs. We have to beat them if we were going to win it, and that's one thing. You want to beat the best, and he is one of the best. But anyway, get well, Joe. As for the Jaguars, they're 1-1. The Bengals are now 2-0. They haven't been that since 2018, so it's a big deal for them. But where there should be a happy 2-0, they're not. The next game we move on to is the Cowboys and the Giants. Now, this was a cracker, and I really enjoyed this. Russell Wilson turned on Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl winning Russell Wilson yesterday, and not the Russell Wilson from the last few years. The Cowboys won 40-37 in overtime, in the last kick of the game in overtime, and it was a brilliant finale to a brilliant game. The lead changed so many times, especially in the 4th quarter. Russell Wilson had 450 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, his interception was the last play for the Giants in overtime before the Cowboys went down the field and scored. And he had a 73.2% completion rate. Cam Scatterbo, the running back, he had 11 attempts at 45 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. And Malik Neighbors caught an awesome touchdown, but he actually caught 2 altogether. 9 receptions, 167 yards, averaging 18.56 yards. He was just brilliant altogether. You look at the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, well, he had 2 touchdowns, 361 yards, 73.1% completion, and 1 interception. Javonte Williams, the running back, he had 97 yards at 18 attempts and 1 touchdown, averaging 5 yards per run. And CeeDee Lamb came back to being the CeeDee Lamb, 9 receptions, 112 yards, averaging 12 yards, but no touchdown. But this game had everything, and every time you thought one team was going to win it, the other team came back. And it was really, really enjoyable. I do feel sorry for the Giants because on another day they should have won it. The Cowboys kicked a field goal in the last kick of normal time. It was a 60-something yard field goal. I think it was 62-yard field goal. And it was Brandon Aubrey. Yeah, that's it. Brandon Aubrey, he kicked the field goal. It was kind of a kick in the teeth because the Giants had just scored prior to that and they thought they had won. Then you go into overtime and Brandon Aubrey again kicks the field goal with time running out. So it was a brilliant win for the Cowboys. They go to 1-1. The Giants go to 0-2. They have the Chiefs next week, and it doesn't get easier for them. But they were unfortunate yesterday not to get something out of that game. The next game we go to is the Bears at the Lions. Now, I did tip the Cowboys to win that. I did tip the Lions to win this. They won 51-22. It was a slaughter, to be honest. Ben Johnson went back. Dan Campbell had a bad week against the Green Bay Packers beforehand. His former offensive coach coming in, and like Ben Johnson went to Chicago to turn them around and going to meet Dan Campbell and the Lions in week 2 after having a bad week 1. You would think that they would have some chance. Caleb Williams, he had 207 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Whereas you look at Jared Goff, 334 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Gibbs was on form. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 9 receptions, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They were just awesome yesterday. And Ben Johnson got his eyes opened of the size of the job that's ahead of him. The Lions, are they back? Well, I'll give them another 2 or 3 weeks to see if they're back. I hope they are. They are an awesome team. They have an awesome outfit. And I love their head coach, Dan Campbell, because he wears his heart on his sleeve. And their team is showing that for him. They had a bad week in Green Bay. They had a good week against the Bears. That's 1-1 in their division. It'll be interesting to see now how next week goes. As for the Bears, well, there's a lot of work to be done. That's all I'm going to say. Then we had the Patriots at the Dolphins. I picked the Patriots. They won 33-27 in the cracker. But the Dolphins are in huge bother. Now, they're playing us on Thursday night in Highmark Stadium. We'll talk about that again during the week. But Mac Hollins caught a touchdown yesterday. Drake May looked like the Drake May I thought we would see at the start of the season. They ran after the Dolphins returned to punt to score a touchdown. They kick off. They returned to kick off to score a touchdown. Tua stunk. Tyreek Hill isn't happy. Mike McDaniels, it looks like a man that's waiting for a hole to open up so he can jump into it. And I don't know, the Dolphins are in bother. The Patriots get their first win. Mike Vrabel gets his first win as the head coach of the Patriots. And everyone's happy in New England. As for Miami, it's if things go really, really bad for them Thursday night against us, and as a Bills fan, I hope they do, but if they do, I think Mike McDaniels could be looking at his job. But time will tell. Then we go to the 49ers at the Saints. I was talking earlier in the week, last week, about how many players are missing out of the 49ers. Well, Christian McCaffrey did play. He played very well. Mac Jones came in at quarterback. Mac Jones did throw some good ball and did throw some bad ball. But I picked the 49ers to win. The 49ers won 26-21. They just about deserve it. Now, in fairness, when I say Mac Jones did throw some bad ball, he did not throw any interceptions. But it wasn't a clean game from him either. He had 279 yards passing, 66.7% completion with 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, well, he is coming back to his best. And then Jenkins at wide receiver, he had 89 yards and 5 receptions for 1 touchdown. Do I think Mac Jones will get the 49ers through this period while Brock Purdy is missing? It's questionable. But they do believe in him, so time will tell. Now, we come to our own game. The Bills at the Jets, MetLife, AFC East divisional game. We won 30-10. The game was over by the third quarter. We took out our starters in the fourth quarter. Josh Allen didn't have to do an awful lot as a passer. He did get a bloody nose, and please God, Josh, he'll be all right soon. He did do an interview afterwards where he said, "I can breathe," and did big gap. So, well done. But he had 148 passing yards. He didn't throw for any touchdowns. He had no interceptions. Where we were good was the running game. James Cook, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 absolute genius touchdown. The running game really took off for us. He really played a big part in the game. Our defense too really stood up. So it did. Joey Bosa was Joey Bosa. Cole Bishop had a sack. Jones had a sack. You know, Logue had half a sack, and Greg Rousseau had half a sack. Like, there was 4 sacks in the game. We also turned the ball over. Justin Fields did go off injured with a concussion, and I hope Justin Fields is okay. But the game was 30-3 at the end of the third quarter. We took off our starters in the fourth. Mr. Trubisky did okay. We didn't score in the fourth quarter, but I don't think it mattered. We had the win. We're 2-0. I don't want to score 40 points in every game because at some stage you'll dry up. So we'll save them for the games that we look like we're going to dry up and play and use them then. But it was a good win. I just want to make sure that we're okay for Thursday night. We have no injury issues. We get our injured players back. The Dolphins are down. We just need to pound the Dolphins and keep them down Thursday night. We are top of our division. It's a division that hopefully by week 10 we have wrapped up. But and then we can just concentrate on the AFC position after that. We mightn't have won the division, but we're far enough ahead that we're okay in it. But that's not to be too confident or cocky. It's just we are a team that's on the verge of Super Bowl. We have to go and take it and take our chances. The rest of the division is all rebuilding and one team is falling away. So we have to make the most. As I've always been told, you make hay when the sun shines. So the sun is shining now, so we have to make hay. Now, the next game I'm going to talk about is the Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the only game I've got wrong so far. I picked the Steelers to win. I thought that the Seahawks were tight against the 49ers the first day, but just didn't have enough to get past. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, Sam Darnold and co absolutely destroyed the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers didn't have his best game. What's worrying for the Steelers is in both games their defense suck and have really been exposed. And this is the team that's been built off their defense. Also, their special teams made a huge mistake where a kickoff came. It went into the end zone. They thought the ball was dead. Seattle ran forward, jumped on the ball, got a touchdown. It wasn't the end of the game, but it was a big turning point in it. The Seahawks deservedly won. The Steelers, Aaron Rodgers wasn't too concerned. He said it's week 2, there will be mistakes, they will recover. I don't know who they're playing next week. I'll do that in my show, but I know in week 4 they're coming to Ireland and they're playing the Minnesota Vikings in Croke Park. And right now, after this weekend's game, we'll see more next week how that goes. They're going to win that game handy enough by the looks of it, because as I'll talk about the Vikings in a few minutes, they had a great win week 1, but this absolutely sucked last night. Now, our next game then is the Rams, the Titans. Cam Ward threw his first touchdown. It was an absolute awesome throw, but the Rams were too strong. I picked the Rams to win. They won 33-19. It was tight at halftime, but Matthew Stafford and co. Opened up in the second half, and they had a good win. They're 2-0, and the Titans are 0-2. It's going to be a long season for the Titans, but they're a team that's just starting out. Then we had the Panthers at the Cardinals. I picked the Cardinals. They won 27-22. They were well up in this game. I think it was 27-9 at one stage, and should have won it easy. But Bryce Young and co. did put up a bit of a fight, and the Cardinals made it hard. But they did win 27-22. They are 2-0, and the Panthers are 0-2. Then another cracker was the Broncos at the Colts. And I did pick the Colts to win. I just had a feeling that the Broncos weren't too hot in week 1, and the Colts were. And Daniel Jones has made a record where they've played 2 games and not had a punt in the first 2 games of an NFL season. They did win with a last-second retaken field goal. The field goal was taken at 60 yards. There was an infringement where a defender apparently was using leverage on one of the Colts to jump up. It was very minimal, now I have to say. But the flag was thrown. It was brought 15 yards forward. They got to retake the field goal, and they won 29-28. It was a very good game, a very enjoyable game. Both teams deserved to win it, and no team deserved to lose it. But on the night, the Broncos came up short. Then we go to the big game of the weekend, or so it was called. It was the Eagles at the Chiefs. I picked the Eagles to win simply because on week 1, there was Patrick Mahomes, and that was it. And last night, the Chiefs did put up a bit of a fight to the Eagles, but it was Patrick Mahomes against the Eagles. The Eagles weren't great. They kept Saquon Barkley very quiet. I watched this game. I turned off Red Zone, just concentrating this one because I thought this was going to be a real cracker. It wasn't. It was watchable. It was okay. Jalen Hurts did all right. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith did all right. Their defense did all right. The Chiefs' defense did all right too, but Mahomes has nothing. Kelsey can't catch a ball when it matters. There have no one to throw to stretch the field. They've been like this last year too. They limped it and got away with it. But if Mahomes ever gets injured, that team is finished. They're 0-2. They're bottom of their division. Whoever wins tonight between the Chargers and the Raiders will be top. We'll have a 2-game lead on them. If the Chargers win, they'll have a 3-game lead on them because they'll have the head-to-head. I'm not writing off the Chiefs yet by any means, but they have a tough schedule. They have Baltimore and Detroit in the next coming few weeks, amongst other teams. Now, I know that the Giants coming this weekend. If it was last year, I'd say they'd win, handy enough. But the Giants did put up an awesome performance this weekend. So if they can do anything like that, I think they're at home in MetLife next week. It could make things interesting against the Chiefs. And our final game last night was the Falcons at the Vikings. I tipped the Falcons to win because on game week 1, they did lose to the Buccaneers, but I did say they looked like a complete team and they were unlucky to lose. Well, the Falcons blew them away 22-6. Their defense was awesome. I didn't stay up to watch it. When the Chiefs game finished, I went to bed, but I watched highlights of it today. JJ McCarthy, you can see he's a rookie, as in his first year playing football. I'm very surprised at Kevin O'Connell's team to be this poor at home. But as someone said today, out of the 8 quarters they've played so far, they've only turned up as an offense in one when they took apart the Bears last week. So there's a lot of work to be done. And as I said earlier, if the Steelers and the Vikings next weekend in Croke Park, I would be tipping the Steelers to win because they are scoring points, even though they're not being too impressive defensively. The Vikings aren't, and unless the Vikings can improve next week, my tip will be the Steelers when they get to Croke Park in week 4. That's for a game. What's the major news out of the NFL this weekend? Well, Jaden Daniels, from the quarterback for the Commanders, he had an MRI scan today on a sprained knee, and he's now week to week. So that's going to be a big loss for the Commanders if he's out for any time. Joe Burrow, as we said, is out for 3 months. Could be the end of the Bengals season. Big loss. Dolphins in a huge hole, and I think if things go bad this week against us, Mike McDaniels will be in serious bother. Any other news that I can see there? Not really. I wrote down little notes from the teams, but that was just for the video. Is there any surprises from them games from the weekend? In my eyes, no. I am surprised how easily the Seahawks did beat the Steelers, but they fully deserved it. It wasn't a pox. The Jaguars kind of threw it away against the Bengals. The Giants kind of threw it away against the Cowboys, but I didn't fancy them to win, either of them two teams to win. And I didn't think, to be honest, that as bad as it is, that the Colts or the Patriots will be that close to the Dolphins will be that close to the Patriots at the end. Now, they weren't under awful pressure to win the game, but it was tighter than what I thought it would be. But when you see Tyreek Hill's reaction to an overthrow from Tua Tagovailoa, that camp ain't happy. And when you see Mike McDaniel standing on the sideline and his head looking down the ground, he knows there's a big issue there. On a Buffalo Bills note, what am I happy about? I'm happy we killed the game early. I was kind of nervous going into it. Not that we wouldn't win. It's a game we should win. But I was nervous because the Jets did really put it up to the Steelers. And we really did have to pull at our A game to beat the Ravens the week before. I got the reaction I wanted, that our defense really turned up, and made that Jets offense look pretty ordinary, pretty poor. Our offense, we didn't need Josh Allen to be Superman. We did it without him being Superman. And that's brilliant too, because Josh Allen can't be Superman in every game. He did nothing wrong. He had a good game. He had a couple of massive runs. He didn't have to throw the ball out of the park to win us the game. We won it without that, and that was a brilliant thing. And I was delighted that Josh Allen didn't have to be Superman for us to win this game. He did get a bit of a knock, but thankfully he's okay. Mitch Trubisky came in for the fourth quarter. A lot of the starters didn't play in the fourth quarter, and we just saw the game out, and we got our job done. We have a short turnaround to Thursday night, as does the Dolphins, but having that quarter off, not risking injury, having players able to recover quicker, I'm looking forward to the game on Thursday night. Tomorrow night, I'll have Therese on the video, and we'll talk about things were there and what she thought of the game, and we'll go into it a little bit more in depth then as well. And then on Thursday night, before the game, I'll give my predictions, and I'll give my thoughts on the Bills versus the Dolphins and all the other games as well. It's a busy week here for the show. I want to thank you for your support. Very appreciative of. Can see the videos are more and more watching, so I'm very, very happy with that. You're always welcome in my comments. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Sorry, now I caught the wire on the microphone. And across my social medias, if you ever want to get in contact, you always can. I am lining up a new batch of people to come on the show over the next 4 to 5, 6 weeks. So I'll be in contact with them, and when I have everything organised, I'll let you know. We did it in August. I had 4 or 5 weeks when I had people on. It was brilliant from the end of July to the end of August. And just while the season is starting and I'm getting into the routine, I said I'd take a few weeks off that, but I have a few people lined up that are looking forward to coming on the show. And as I said, over the next 4 to 5, 6 weeks, I'll start organising that, and we'll have them on a Monday night. We'll have special guest shows. So looking forward to it. So that is it, my friends. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, I'm delighted to be at 13-1 out of the 14 games. Thankfully, I don't gamble. But we have 2 more games tonight. I am going to watch a bit of the Buccaneers and the Texans. I'll stay up for a little while on that and watch it. It's on at midnight here. I think the game of the night could be the Chargers at the Raiders, but I'll have to watch the highlights tomorrow because a man has to sleep too. So until I have my video with Therese tomorrow night, stay safe, stay happy. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. And as always, my friends, go Bills.